If your freelance design projects always seem to be a bit longer and hairier than you anticipate, I want you to know that this is completely fixable, and it very likely comes down to just a few process tweaks and a little magic from AI. For me, cutting my web design project timelines nearly in half was not about working harder or faster. It was really just about a few key changes around how I set a really strong foundation for projects early on, how I very strategically present my work, and how I stay organized and maintain boundaries around revision requests. And when you can really nail these few key things, everything just gets so much easier and more fun, to be honest. So let's talk it through. One of the biggest shifts that sped up my timeline so much was actually gathering all of the foundational information I need at the very beginning of the project. So before I've done any work or even opened Figma. And this really means making sure that the client and I are genuinely aligned on their goals and their preferences. And for me, this starts with my kickoff questionnaire. Now, I used to have a kickoff questionnaire, and now I have a kickoff questionnaire. It is thorough, it is in-depth, and it's definitely a lot, but in my experience, as long as clients understand why this is so important and they know that this is the most homework that they're going to have throughout the project, they're totally fine with it. Also, people really like talking about themselves and their business, so no one's ever complained. My questionnaire is split up into 5 sections, and the full thing is linked below, but here's a preview. Each section has between 2 and 5 questions covering everything from their personal design preferences, who their audiences are, content that the website needs to hold, and very importantly, I don't just gather this information, give it a read, and say, got it, thanks, ready to start designing. Here's what I do instead. I translate all of this information into a project planning and strategy deck. And this deck is really what kicks the project into motion. And it's what I talk through on the official project kickoff call. And here's the key. All I am doing is presenting the client's own information back to them to make sure that I'm interpreting everything in the way that they intended, and to make sure that they feel good about everything before we go any further. And I've always had a basic framework or template for this deck. I think all designers do. But honestly, putting it together still used to take me quite a while. But here's a secret about why it doesn't anymore. Because I now use a GPT prompt for every project that takes the content of the kickoff questionnaire and translates it into copy and paste ready text boxes for my slides. Now, quick reality check. If you're like I was and you're thinking, oh yeah, of course, I can just ask ChatGPT to summarize my kickoff document and put it into the deck. I tried that and it was bad, which is why I built a very specific, very long prompt, which I call the bridge, because it literally bridges the questionnaire and my kickoff presentation. And I've been refining this prompt for, I think, over a year now, because the output needs to be genuinely good. If it's going to be a strong foundation for the whole project, it can't be some confusing, jargony ChatGPT word salad, right? We've all experienced that and it's not useful. So the result of a thorough questionnaire plus a well-crafted prompt is high quality text blocks that I then drop into my deck. And as I'm pasting things, I'm also reviewing and just checking everything to make sure that the content is super clear and that I fully understand it. So once the content is in there, I then just fill in the remaining parts of the presentation that I personally prefer to be directly hands-on with. And for me, that is quickly mapping the website architecture. My brain just kind of needs to do this myself so that I understand what I'm going to be designing and building, even though I realize there's AI tools that offer this. Secondly, I like to create my own mood boards, also known as stylescapes or possible visual directions for the website. And again, I know that There's AI tools for mood boarding, but to be honest, I have a lot of fun with this step. It just gets me excited about the possibilities for what the website could look like. So you can totally use AI for mood boarding if you prefer, but you can't make me. I love my mood boards. Next biggest thing that allowed me to speed up projects so much was changing basically everything about how I present my work. So I used to present and gather feedback live on key touchpoint calls with the client, and I don't do that anymore. Here's what I do instead. I record and send them a video walking through the most recent chunk of work. And then we will either meet the next day to review any feedback they have, or if it's a smaller scope or a tighter timeline project, I'll just ask them to provide any feedback to me within 48 hours in their feedback tracker. And more on that in a second. There's two reasons why this works so much better than my old method of presenting work. Number one, when I can calmly present my work on a Loom recording and I have my notes with all of my design decisions and rationale right in front of me and I can talk it through without being interrupted, everything just comes across a lot more compellingly than if I was flustered and losing my train of thought. And number two, when clients have more time to process, if and when they do have feedback, it's going to be better, more intentional feedback. It's not going to be on the fly, kind of, well, maybe this. In real time, people just don't give their best feedback because they're kind of just processing out loud. So this method of presenting the work and collecting the feedback after the call, I think makes the work come across a lot better, and it makes clients provide more carefully considered revision requests. Final thing I want to touch on is how and where feedback gets captured, and I'll explain why this is so critical. You need a single place visible to both you and the client where all of the feedback or revision requests are captured. I simply call mine the feedback tracker. Very original, I know. But this document sneakily does a number of really helpful things. Firstly, it puts all feedback in one single location, obviously, but also it serves as a reminder of the number of rounds clients get because I have it all laid out there from the very start of the project to be filled in as we go. And lastly, at the top of the document, I include two small but important things. Number one, a little guide on giving actually helpful, constructive feedback to designers, because not all people have experience with this. And number two, just a friendly reminder of my feedback policy. For example, all feedback must be added to the tracker within 48 hours of each design presentation. If no feedback is given in that time, it's treated as an automatic approval. So I used to feel a little awkward including this, but the reality is it makes you look like a professional. Professionals have policies and boundaries, and people do respect that. You don't have to be hyper rigid about enforcing your policies. They're just there so you can use them when and if they're needed, rather than kind of scrambling mid-project when things start slipping out of control or getting delayed. So keeping this tracker at the center of things from the very start avoids awkward conversations later on and just helps the whole project run smoothly. To wrap it all up, by being intentional about gathering all the foundational information needed to align with clients from the very start, by presenting your work very strategically, and by just tracking feedback in one super clear place, you can really cut down your design project timelines without working way harder. And honestly, I think that being a designer is just a lot more fun when you have less back and forth and more time to actually enjoy designing. So give these a try on your next project. Let me know how it goes. And if you want to see how these changes helped me to grow my business and increase my prices project by project in my first year of freelancing, then watch this next video. Bye.